Over 32% of people who don't have a budget say that they don't make enough money to need one. This highlights one of the main stumbling blocks for many people, not believing in the budgeting process to begin with. Most people know the act of how to create a budget, but they don't know how to actually stick with it. And many don't know the things that they need to do in order to make their budget succeed. So today I wanted to talk about the 7 things that you can do that will help set up your budget for success. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Alaina, and this is The Organized Money, where we talk about planning life and managing money. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing is you need to know your why. Are you budgeting to save more money, to pay off debt, to go on vacation, or just not to be stressed out every time the phone rings? Knowing your why will help you stick with it when times get tough and you want to spend money. After knowing your why, then you want to do these 7 things within your budget. The first thing that you want to do is have flexibility within structure. What do I mean by that? Well, when most people create a budget, they are really strict on what they can and cannot spend their money on. This may seem like a good strategy, but you're really setting yourself up for failure. Life happens, so we need some flexibility within our budget. If you love to eat out, then have a day in the week where you allow yourself to do so. If you love shopping on Amazon, then add an extra $50 in your budget specifically for Amazon. If you overspend in one category, borrow from another. Give yourself some flexibility and look at your budget as a constantly changing system. Don't beat yourself up if you mess up. Just adjust and keep going. The second thing that you need to do is add a miscellaneous line item to your budget. Many times the small items that come up are really out of our control. Your kid needs money for a field trip. A friend asks you to join them for a cup of coffee. These are things that you usually can't plan for. They are spontaneous. So in order to assist us with all of these random events that kind of come up, you should have a small cushion to prepare for these items that are not in your budget. This will save you from feeling too restricted and feeling like you can't do certain things, or from blowing your budget on something that you just didn't see coming. Tip number 3 is to track your expenses. Once you have created your budget, you are ready for the hard part, which is following it. This is a step where many people who attempt budgeting usually fail. It can be time consuming to track your expenses, recording your transactions every single day, subtracting them from the correct budget category. It can be overwhelming at first, and it's even more challenging to make sure that you don't go over your expected amount or your income. Keeping track of your spending either on paper or using an app, though, will help you figure out how much money you are spending outside of your bills. I love keeping track in my budget planner. It definitely helps me stay on top of my spending and make better overall spending decisions. You definitely have to figure out what works for you, but out of all of my tips, this is probably the top tip that I have for having a successful budget. My 4th tip is to use one form of payment for all variable spending. Now, this is one that I just started implementing, but it has been a game changer for our budget. And that is to use one debit card, one credit card, or cash for all of your variable spending. We used to use different forms of payment every single time we were spending, and it made tracking our expenses much, much harder. Once we switched to one form of payment, which is currently our credit card, it made it so much easier, and it really helps you realize how much you're spending overall. Tip number 5, if you fail once, it doesn't mean you are a failure at budgeting. So many times I've spoken with someone about budgeting in which they broke their budget the very first time that they did it, one paycheck and then they never tried to budget again. Just because you don't succeed your very first time or a second time or even third time, it doesn't mean that you aren't good at it. It takes on average about 3 months to get adjusted to budgeting. And even after that, you will still have bad months where life happens. I have been seriously budgeting for over 5 years and we still have failed months. It's definitely a process. Don't get discouraged. You will definitely get it. Tip number 6 is to save for short-term emergencies. Nothing will break your budget faster than a car repair that you weren't prepared for. Saving a little bit every single time you get paid for other events that will happen later on is one of the best ways to set up your budget for success, because it's not a case of if you will ever get a flat tire, it's when you get a flat tire. It's definitely going to happen. So prepare early and set aside $50 a check or $100 a check for when your air conditioner breaks or when that appliance needs to be replaced, so it doesn't destroy your budget for an entire month. And tip number 7 is to create and keep up with a routine. One of the best things that I did, other than starting to track my expenses, was keeping up with a routine so that I could track my expenses. But having it set in my morning routine where I look at my money every single morning for about 10 minutes has made budgeting such a habit. And once budgeting becomes a habit, you are really unstoppable. So guys, I hope that these tips have helped you. Please let me know if you have any additional ones. Leave them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Remember that the only thing that we can truly control is ourselves. So keep budgeting, keep at it. You'll definitely get it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep organizing your life until you achieve your dreams. Bye guys.